since everybody is about, pointing out the negative in the film and bashing on the film primarily, I think there's only 2 channels on YouTube that overly like the film. Star Wars Theory, which I like his videos, and I think like Emergency Awesome thought it was all right or good, no good. And you are completely entitled to like the film. I mean, this is just opinions. Uh-oh. And
not just opinions, Joe.
no, they're just opinions. Okay, and I wanted to show you my crystal chamber. But here's the thing. You know what, guy? If you want, because I got a lot of comments on my lightsaber on the last review, so if you want, I can show you all my lightsabers.
It's pretty sweet.
And I'll just go right here with what I just said. I'll tie this in. This film doesn't take away from my Star Wars fandom. I still love Star Wars just as much. It doesn't diminish my love of Star Wars in any way.
So this didn't do to Game of Thrones what Season 8 did to Game of Thrones, which I agree with you. It didn't do that for me.
It's not that bad.
It's not like that.
Okay, I see a lot of comments in the last video that's like, oh, is Season 8 all over? Not necessarily.
I'm still
to that extent.
I'm gonna watch the original trilogy and still.
And I could watch this film again because there are good elements.
Again?
So before we get into before we get into all the negatives and a little bit of a plot synopsis where we can tell you everything that didn't work, let's talk about what did work. Okay? One of you take it.
I think that they did a this felt like a Star Wars movie in a lot of ways. I think surface level, if you're just going to enjoy a weekend movie, like you've got people in for the holidays, and you're not looking to delve too far into it, this is probably an enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
Now, the first time I watched it, there was parts of that I really liked, and then on the second watch, the cracks start to show a little bit, but that's mainly coming from my fandom. But if you aren't a diehard Star Wars person, I think that you may like a lot of this movie. You may disagree with some of the directions that the story went like I did, but I think there's beautiful scenes, there's cool locations, and I think it's acted pretty well. It's competently shot. There's a lot to like.
If you're going to the film to be entertained, as a lot of people do,
just turn that
if you're
off.
a casual Star Wars fan and you turn your brain off and you don't think about it,
Porra.
you can probably get through the thing.
Eu botei pra abrir o jogo, abrir a playlist.
I was also entertained in one of my favorite characters. What was his name again? I forgot.
Babu Freak, yeah.
Yeah.
Easily steals the show.
He steals the show. I wanted some more of him. But overall, I did enjoy the film. It was a good film. Star Wars.
Okay, so you think it's a good film. I'm looking forward to your rating.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to point out. The best aspect, and when you look at this as a conclusion, we have to look at the main character storylines. I think Kylo Ren turns out to be the best sort of storyline. I liked his resolution. Even though things didn't work out exactly the way I hoped, that doesn't mean that I hate the film. And that's another thing I need to address is just because it didn't go the way I wanted it to go doesn't mean that's why I'm beating up on the film. I'm beating up on the film because the things that it attempts to do, it fails to execute in a good way, in a solid way, without plot holes. But I think Kylo Ren's story arc, his redemption, and now it mirrors very much so his grandfather, but that is intentional.
Yeah.
And I like it. So if you really think about the whole Skywalker thing, Rise, this is a story about the Skywalker. We've always been told that by Kathleen Kennedy. Then really, the sequel trilogy is just Kylo Ren. It's Kylo Ren's story. It's not Rey's story. Rey is not a Skywalker.
She just stole the name.
At the end, she says she's a Skywalker. I'll buy it.
I don't.
You're not a Skywalker. That's like saying, in Star Wars series who like the film, so that's like saying Obi-Wan's a Jinn now. I'm a Jinn. You just name yourself Qui-Gon Jinn. You know what I mean?
It's not the way it works.
That's not how it works. I know
she felt adopted by
if she was okay.
That is such a small. Out of all the things to complain about, and it's on the list of things, but it's so far.
Oh, that's not the smallest thing to complain about. I'll tell you the smallest thing to complain about. But anyways, initially I was on board with the adoption angle, but that she's an adopted Skywalker, and that's fine. But she'll never be a true Skywalker is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
And that reminds me of the fact that this whole sequel trilogy would have been better if she was a true Skywalker, whether she was on the Leia side or Luke's side. I think a lot of people would have embraced the Rey character so much more if she was Luke Skywalker and gave her the benefit of the doubt, or at least Leia's daughter. But we didn't go that way. Anyways, so let's get to some of the good things before we get into a breakdown. There's really good humor in the film from C-3PO. Poe and him going back and forth. I love how Poe has taken up that role of just telling C-3PO to shut up. Babu Freak, as Joe pointed out, Chewie's reaction to Leia's death, that's what I was talking about in my review. The one part that got emotion. None of the main characters got emotion from me.
No.
But when Chewie was crying, when Chewie was like, I can't do a Chewie. You know, when Leia, I was like, oh.
Yeah, he was mad.
Did y'all feel that?
Yeah, it was good.
That was good. And then Han and Kylo's their interaction, you know, where he's like, Dad, and then Han telling his son that, you know, I know. And the memory of him. A lot of people was, oh, that's ridiculous. He didn't learn how to be a Force ghost and this and that, and it's stupid. It's like, no, I don't agree. I'm very close to Yeah, he didn't have a blue tint.
He wasn't a Force ghost. He was just talking
Yeah,
to
he
himself.
said himself.
And I'm very close.
I'm just a memory.
Yeah. Your memory.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I'm very close with my father, and that connected with me. They did that in Man of Steel too, and I, you know, though they did it a little less well in Man of Steel. Now that scene is kind of ruined by one of the worst lines in the film when he tries to do the whole. I know what to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it, because they're trying to mirror.
Hey, member?
They were trying to do "Hey, member." They shouldn't have done that because it didn't really apply as well as the first time he said it. But otherwise, that scene was great. I really liked the Force link between them two. They hinted at that in the previous film where he pulls water through, and then they really expand on it here. I know you have problems with it. You hate it, but I liked it. And then Luke and Rey's interaction. So, you know, basically J.J. Abrams kind of fixing things and from Rian Johnson and the way Rian Johnson treated Luke's character. So all their stuff where it's like Luke catches the lightsaber and he's like, you need to respect the... Uh-oh, I hit that button.
He's like, but you didn't.
All right, I need to play this song when we get to some of the bad stuff, right? The X-Wing rising moment was really awesome for me.
It was just covered in seaweed. It wasn't broken.
Yeah, in previous thumbnails and when they really zoom in on it, it looks like that X-Wing is broken, but maybe it was just worn down as we saw in Empire Strikes Back, right? Kylo and Rey's unique Force link team up. The moment when, you know, she puts her hand behind her head and then she comes back.
Eyes.
And then, man, fuck y'all.
It makes no goddamn sense, even in the Star Wars universe.
No, that's because y'all don't like the Force link. I like the Force link.
We're talking about the good. Continue.
Okay, one final good.
Well, wait.
Is
for me.
Yeah.
One emotion that got me was